Welcome back to the Fearless Studio at the 2024 Fearless Summit. I was minding my own business, running by the corridors, and I met this gentleman who I just dragged in here because I had to have a conversation with him. Again, all the way from the Pearl of Africa, it's Pastor Kaweesa, who is from Worship Harvest Ministries, and he and his wife lead the Worship Harvest Nakawa campus.
Yes.
So good to have you here, Pastor Chris, and you've just gotten off the stage where you have given us some potent, interesting things to feed on. So you're a pastor on one hand, and you're also in business, a lot of business and robust business. Ideally and typically, these two things never meet. We speak about church, we speak about marketplace. We speak about coming on Sunday and then going to work on the other days. But you're sort of like meshing them together. And you've done it, not only are you speaking it, but you've done it practically. Tell us a little bit about how your experience has been being a day-to-day robust business person, but also being a day-to-day robust pastor.
Okay, thanks a lot, Pastor John.
Yes.
First of all, I'm on a journey. My mind has been renewed over years through the discipleship of Apostle Moses and Pastor Ari. Of course, in the beginning, there are two sides of the coin.
Yeah.
But we came to learn through scripture that one, God is interested in business, but most of all, you realize that the people he used were business people. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, David, Solomon, like they are all doing business in order to sustain the mission. It's as if God chose people who could manage resources, who are wealthy, to do his work. That's why you realize that today, for any movement to go forward, they need resources.
True.
So you cannot have a movement when you can't harness resources. In Luke 16:11, it insinuates that if you can't be faithful with mammon,
Yes.
who will give you the true riches?
True.
Mammon is money.
Yes.
True riches is people. So if you can't
Be faithful.
be faithful with money, you can't run an entity and manage resources well, then what are you doing with people? So we come learning, Apostle has been teaching us a lot about business and ministry, and then realize it's one and the same thing.
Yeah.
That's why you find that because money can only be multiplied in businesses, not anywhere else. Even when you take it to a savings account, they will take it, give it to a business. The business multiplies it. The business pays back the loan and they give you 10%, the entity takes another 10%. So you find that the only way to manage resources, to harness them, to multiply them is through business. You need them for the movement. So you find that those two things are together.
Yeah.
There is no successful patriarch in the Bible who was not a business person.
Wow.
They all run entities. I mean, Solomon was a trader.
Yeah.
When they talk about gold, it's not that he got it from, it was not a spiritual thing. No, he was dealing in horses and what. He was really doing business.
Wow.
To be able to avail the resources to build the temple.
Wow.
David set aside resources for his own, but also for the kingdom to build the temple.
Yeah.
So these people were well versed with managing resources and money, and that is only done in business.
Wow.
So you find that it's one and the same thing.
So we should demolish the binary that we have created,
Yes, please.
that church and business are two
Reject.
separate things.
Reject.
Completely. And Pastor Chris, it's interesting because we're at Fearless Summit. If we go to any high-level business conference that's been convened by the who's who in the business sphere, they will probably tell you a couple of things, but the one thing they won't tell you is that run a business with disciples,
Yes.
with a discipleship model or with a discipleship tool. It seems very odd to have employees as disciples.
Yeah.
Tell us how it has been like for you practically, because you say that your people who you have hired for your various ventures are actually your disciples,
Yes.
which means you're taking keen interest in them, keen interest in their lives, far from just what skill they bring. Yeah.
So that's one of the aspects we teach in business principles, running your business the way God does. You realize that all the best business schools, Harvard, Oxford, were principally Christian business schools.
True.
So those principles were taught, but they were lost along the way. That's why you find that wealthy entities in Europe and America, their foundation is biblical. So what we've done, or what we know now, is, look at Israel. For Israel to become a nation, they needed sons, not employees. So for anything to become anything, you need sons, and disciples are basically sons.
True.
So what that does, or what happens, is that the things you learn in church, the way you disciple people, bring it to the business. Love your people. course, first of all, the advantage is you pay them.
Yes.
And the discipleship groups in church, you don't pay. The guys at work, you pay them, but also add value to them. One of the things we do strongly in the businesses we run is make sure the people, you develop the people. Outside, if you are an accountant, I can teach you accounts or give you continuous development in that area, but I teach you about finances. I teach you how to save your money. I teach you how to keep your marriage well. I teach you how to behave. I teach you all the scripture. So you become grounded. One of the I run a missional community.
Yes.
I handed it over recently.
Yes.
But it's in my office. The people in my office are the ones who attend the missional community. They watch MC live. So you find that you can't, the same way you can't say business is the other side.
Yes.
The same way you can't say church is the other side.
Yes.
When you're in the business. So it's the same thing. You can only sustain my highlight for
Yes.
this
Summit. Fearless Summit, yes.
Is that you can't have a movement without disciples. The same way you can't have a strong business without sons and daughters.
Wow.
So your employees are your sons and daughters.
Wow.
That's why they can come in earlier and leave later, because it's their business.
Yeah.
You find a successful business eventually give out shares to their employees.
Yeah.
Even those who leave. I know some in Kenya.
Yes.
Business I will not mention. Who have worked there longer, they become shareholders.
Yeah.
And that's what we are pushing for. That's what we are teaching. That's what we need to do.
Yeah.
Because for my entities to go a long way, I need sons and daughters, not employees.
Yeah.
So then you find that the principles in discipleship, the way Jesus discipled, this invitation and challenge, love on them, but challenge them to do great exploits, is the same thing you do in business.
Yeah.
With the heart of Christ, you teach them the principles in the Bible, how they should live, how they should be married, how they should save and invest and all that. So it's basically the whole thing. It isn't about their marriage. When they're getting married, the young men I work with, I say, when are you getting married?
Yeah.
You're running out of time. Find a girl. Who is the girl?
Where is the girl?
Where is the girl?
Ah.
Yeah, so it's the same thing.
Wow.
The relationship in your business is the same way. The same way the relationship you have in your business should be mirrored with the ones you have in church. So you don't be an animal at work and then you become
somebody different.
The lion and the lamb.
Wow. Pastor Chris, before I let you go, I want you to look into this camera and tell people who are not at Fearless Summit 2024, because you've shared your highlight and it's a big highlight. What they're missing, and why they should be here next year at the 2025 Fearless Summit.
Well, my greatest highlights in all the fearlesses that have come is knowledge. You are a result of the things that you know.
Wow.
Yeah, you are a result of the things that you know. The way you behave, the wealth that you have, be it in a marriage, the size of business is because of what you know or what you don't know. What has happened at Fearless Summit is it's a pool of resources, Christian kingdom resources from different leaders who have harnessed leadership, who have harnessed resources, who have done many great things that we need to listen to and implement in our ministry, in our businesses, in our families. So I invite you to come back or to come Fearless because of the knowledge and resources you will find here that will help you thrive and be better at whatever you're doing.
Amazing. Amazing. I have nothing else to add. Thank you so much, Pastor Chris, all the way from Worship Harvest Nakawa. Thank you so much for joining us at the Fearless Studio at Fearless Summit 2024. You've heard it from him. If you're not here, I don't know where you are, but you can be here next year at Fearless Summit 2025.